space are creeping, have wide influence. So if you haven't considered publishing in an internationally focused journal, I think it is worth your while.
Great, that's a whole lot of different outcomes from one project. That's awesome. So
Milk it, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll get your advice on publishing my dissertation articles, because that's, right now I'm writing my dissertation. I'm hoping to be able to publish some articles in different journals. I've presented at 2 conferences. I presented last fall at the the American Anthropological Association, and then in the spring at Comparative International Education Society. And I'm hoping to be able to do some sort of discussion in Malawi with some policymakers who are engaged in teacher policy, like a research dissemination or discussion visit. But I'm speaking of like funding and being creative. I'm not quite sure what creative pathway will allow for that, but I'm always thinking about, maybe a future consulting trip in Malawi where I might be able to do some presentations around my research.
Yes. So for me, I presented in CIS last year. That was one outcome for my first year's summer research work. So I presented there. Then the work that I did for this summer, which I'm continuing this semester, is part of my practicum. So it will be part of my practicum project, and I'm presenting in African Studies Conference. So that is the outcome for that, and that's great. Maybe I'll follow examples and publish.
Find an international journal.
Yeah, so I'll be thinking about it. Yeah,
that's great. Laura?
Mine, I used some of the data collected early on to complete my practicum project, also to complete my comprehensive exam part 2 paper, and the methods I'm using were part of my Comps 1 paper. And so I met a lot of benchmarks within the department through this project. I also have been presenting at conferences here and also in Asia, since presenting within the context of Korean education makes sense when my research is within Korean education. And so I've been trying to apply for conferences there as well. And course papers, like my practicum, rough draft of my practicum was a course paper, and same with my Comps 2 paper. And so I've been writing about my work in a lot of spaces for a lot of time, which has been great in terms of making time for analysis. I think that's something that we all struggle with, is like when do you analyze your data when you have everything else in the world to do as well? And so making your work, somehow finding a way to connect with your courses sets an external deadline that you have to meet. And so it keeps you honest and keeps you making progress. But yeah, I've used it for lots of things. I'm trying to publish my practicum right now. I need some work though. I need some revisions. So we'll see when that happens.
And could it be that some of these things actually become part of then a funding application for something else? So
yeah,
it also brings into the next thing you apply.
Yeah, by always applying for more funding, because the work has to continue for another 9 months still. I'm always bringing in the writing that I've been doing, and so it all folds in on itself.
Rachel?
So I'll keep it very tied to what I received funding for the summer. For the summer SRF, that just ended in August, and so I'm still very much with that data. So it will inform my practicum and it will inform my dissertation. Exactly how, the future shall decide that. But it's very much ongoing work, and I think one thing that the timing of the summer research fellowship allowed me to do was and I was able to accomplish some sort of very, what we think of as traditional qualitative research, some interviews and things like that. But more than anything, it sets sort of the professional network, colleague network that I'll need to build upon. And so it was sort of foundational, I think, to future things.
So lots of good and different kinds of outcomes. So at this point, I think those are the main questions we were going to cover, but let me just ask all of our panelists, are there any other ideas or tips or thoughts you've had that you want to share that have come up?
I promised Brett that I would put out a little plug for him and the work that he does. So on the back at the bottom is his contact information. Brett Say, I believe, is he in Hale? So he's a 4th year in the higher ed program, and his assistantship is working within the funding office on the 2nd floor, and his job is to support us as graduate students in finding funding and applying for funding. And so I met with him this summer to talk about my work and said, you know, I think I've exhausted MSU's resources, I need to look externally. And he said, I highly doubt that. And he pulled out a list of all these opportunities for funding on the campus. And sure enough, there were things I hadn't thought of. But he also helped me look outside of MSU for funding, and has continued to look since I met with him. Every once in a while I'll get an email with, hey, have you thought about this? And he'll send me a link. So he's willing to do that and meet with you to talk about your work. He's also willing to give feedback on proposals. So if you are writing a funding proposal and you want feedback, that's also part of his job, is to meet with you and help you workshop that or provide feedback.
I mean, that's a great resource.
It's an incredible
Probably
resource.
Not that many people go and do that, and sit down with them and talk, so.
Yeah, so if you are not quite sure where to get started, he's a great person to go talk to and say, where can I look for funding to do this kind of work? And if he doesn't know, he'll help you try to figure that out.
He also sends out super helpful emails.
Yes.
So if you get on his listserv, he sends out deadlines and things like that.
Does that go, I think, to all, like, doctoral students in the college? Does it automatically go?
No,
I don't think so.
I think you have to sign up for it.
I signed up for it,
Okay,
and then I got it, but I,
Or if you attend one of their workshops, they do like a monthly workshop, if you go to that, you then get on their listserv. But
That
it's
would be an
always,
important
it's
one.
weekly deadlines and links to
And
different things.
Is everyone on our int-ed listserv in our office? Let me just send this piece of paper around, and we have, and friends from around the university on it too, so you're welcome to do that. But if you'll just say your name, email, and put what program you're in. Yeah, we know that we've got you already, so we can add you. And we also are trying to keep our eye on options for funding and things like that, and whenever we can find something out, we'll send that out. So we have 3 lists. One is for students, one is for staff and people around, alumni, people that are outside the college, and then we also have one for faculty. So please get on those if you're not. Any other questions or thoughts? Yeah.
I was just, we're all talking from a place of having successfully received funding, and I just want to make explicit that, like, there have been a number of things I've applied for that I have not been successful at.
Me too.
And so applying early and often is the cliche, but it's very true, because, you know, me personally, I'm talking about this one thing that I was fortunate to receive, but there's a lot of things that I did not receive. But I think the writing of the applications for those helped me get better at writing proposals, because it's a skill to learn how to write a proposal for funding. And I'm still getting better at it, but I don't think when I first started writing those, I had the right tone in it, and so it was a thing that I learned how to do.
Well, I can say, you know, people may be planning to be faculty in the future. You're going to be applying for things like this. And even if you're not, our office is always applying for different things where this kind of writing and putting it together a proposal for internationally focused things is super important. So it's a good skill to build anyway for your careers. Any other last thoughts? Questions?